another episode of Beekeeping Buddies. I'm Steven.
And I'm Luke.
Man, we are going to have another great podcast where we talk about bees and the weather.
And the weather. Got to start with the weather for luck.
It's been hot, dude.
It is. I've been out in it. It is the type of the season where I have 3 shirts in my car, and after I sweat through the first one, I go through the second one. After the second one, I call it a day. You got to have water with you. Don't drink soda.
I worked bees with one of my students, and we get out to the hives, and it was hot. It was in the sun, and I couldn't find my veil, so I just put the hood on of my coat, and I didn't put the coat. I just let all the rest of the coat dangle behind me, and they're like, "You not going to put your suit on?" I'm like, "In this weather? No.
Nope. Not.
It turns out they were for the 10 minutes it took us to look at a couple of hives.
Yeah.
It was middle of the day. Everybody was busy. It was hot. They didn't care at all that we were there.
They don't seem to mind the hot.
Don't.
I've got a few on the front porch hanging out, but mostly they don't mind the hot so much. So that's kind of neat.
Except for the pronukes.
Hate the hot.
We did some. You acquired some queens to get some queens mated so that we would have enough backup queens to put through our vaccination program, which we're still planning to do. And we're got our virgin queens. We made some splits. We put them in mostly. You filled up your queen castles, which were just 10 frames that we split into three framers.
Right.
And then
which
you
I've
had
got some
12 or 15 of those.
I have
3 or 4 hive bodies.
4 hive bodies, which is 12.
12. And so you filled those, and then the balance of the roughly 50.
And then I have 3. Once upon a time, years ago, when we had the woodenware event at your farm.
Yeah.
I have 3. I dug out 3 of those.
3 classic wooden 5-frame nukes.
Yes. So I just filled those today with queens that I had grafted.
And then the balance was put in
Pro
nukes. And I put mine in Pro nukes. I had my 6-frame styrofoams available.
Yep.
But in order to keep things consistent, I also put mine in Pro nukes.
Yeah.
I pulled 2 really nice, almost edge-to-edge capped frames of frames of capped brood from one of my stronger hives to make a 3-frame split to be a mating nuke. And I got in there about 3 days later, and all the bees were gone, and my beautiful frames of capped brood are sitting there basically dead because they didn't get chilled. They didn't get warmed and maintained.
I did that with 28 boxes, and I would say about a quarter of them, the same thing happened to.
Yeah.
They absconded, they readjusted. So some of the boxes, whatever, that queen must have smelled really good because some of them are packed.
Yeah.
And the ones that are packed did just fine. And the ones that aren't packed I pulled frames out and I'm piling up and figuring out where to put them because there's before the hive beetles and flies and everything else moves in.
So, of your queen castles though, your 10-frame queen castles.
So the queen castles did well. The one of them we didn't have. So when we put ours together, they didn't have the little notches, and I didn't think the notches were a big deal.
Yeah,
I figured. The little notches aren't there, like it won't. They won't. They maybe will sit there and stare at each other and maybe fight.
So when we built, we took existing 10-frame deeps.
Yeah,
and we just put 3/8 plywood barriers in the middle of the deep, all the way from the bottom all the way to what would be the inner cover, the top. We didn't make little ears to fill up the channel where the frame ears sit, that front and back lip.
Yeah.
We didn't fill those. And then, because at the time we thought, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. I had a stick that I could have cut down and I didn't. And it was hot and I was in a hurry. So I put it in. One of the hives, the 3-frame nukes, is now a hive that uses all 3 locations, and is drawing wax into the middle one, which I only had one frame in. So they have expanded, and I basically have a single hive that's got a queen in there that is using the whole thing as their own. So that one I've got to break back down into their separate parts, find the queen, break it down to their separate parts. But the other ones did pretty well. I had like one I know I have one failed. She never came back. Although I had a family of 7 house wrens sitting on the fence today that were very mad that I was interrupting them eating the bees that were flying out of my apiary. And they're very cute, and they were very mad, very, very mad at me. There was lots of
They make a lot of noise. Yeah. I have quite a few wrens at my house.
Yeah, so I'm certain that I've probably fed a couple wrens in the area with some of my queens. I will say that the pro nukes that failed, that had a higher failure rate, were in the sun for all day.
Yeah, mine were in full sun.
And then my ones that were shaded in the afternoon had a much higher success rate.
Well, I know we were thinking about this later, that most of the time when we've seen people in the South that use these a lot for building 5-frame nukes in the spring, a lot of times they're in shade in the tree line because they talk about how they don't do well in the full sun. So it's been super hot. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that we've had some failures there. So just a reminder, hey, these are good for a lot of beekeeping activities. Maybe they're okay for raising 5-frame nukes in the spring when it's still cooler, but you get the hot June and July, these really need to be in the shade if you intend to use them for anything.
Yeah, they don't grow. They can't cool them enough either.
You also came back from a big trip from Purdue where you did the Queen Rearing class at Purdue.
Yep, I did. We did really well. I went with Kelly. Kelly and I. So you and I have taught a course in Queen Rearing. I wanted to go see how other people did it. And I always find value in seeing how other people do things and listening to them talk. It was super valuable to me because we got to meet like the largest apiary in Indiana. And that was pretty cool to see how a commercial beekeeper does it. And it wasn't just one guy there. It was the owner and his son and 2 of his employees. So they had 4 people from that.
And they run 1,000?
They ran 3,000 hives. They graft 1,000 queens a year for personal use.
They sell queens?
No. We don't sell anything but honey, and they don't sell honey except for in bulk and to grocery stores. So like local beekeepers will come buy their honey and resell it, and grocery stores.
And so at your 3-day event, you've got, I guess you've got like a classroom day.
It was a classroom day, and it was the next day was grafting practice and grafting in effect. And then the next day was you can come back and see how your grafts did, like how many of them started, quote unquote, took, right?
And this was how big of a class?
25 students. They can handle up to 30, I think. So
it's a pretty small group.
It was bigger than our 5.
Yeah. We're also not Purdue.
Yeah. But it was a pretty big place. I sent you a bunch of pictures from it. It was
I was surprised
of
by
a classroom.
Yeah, I was surprised by the look of, this is some old dude's bee yard that's been keeping bees out of a pole barn for the last 40 years.
Yes. And the road to it, we actually drove by the road to it, even though the instructions said, hey, take a left here. And I was like, why would I take a left on this dirt road, a gravel road that goes back? It looks like a farm. And so we drove by it, and I drove by it again. And then the last time I turned in, and I actually turned into a different road that was nice and paved, that was really nice houses that were right next to the Purdue apiary area.
So this was their lab area for the entomology department?
This is the lab area specifically for their honeybee lab. Crispin Given is their head of their honeybee lab. Honeybee biology lab. Because Purdue, right? Purdue made the Purdue mite biters. And from what I understood from this meeting is that they work closely with USDA and the apiary that was helping in this class, and they made the pole line queens, which are like the gold star currently from what I understand in beekeeping. So really good and there's some people that we met I told them about the podcast, right? And so we may have some new listeners, but it was good to actually hear people talk. They had a question and answer session, right? Like we've done a roundtable session before at the club. I still find those to be the better or best way. It's my preferred way of learning about beekeeping, is that we're going to tell you about something, and then we're going to have a roundtable where you can ask questions. And it was an hour long.
So I think a lot of that though can go really. You can get a lot out of it, or it can fall on its face based on whether or not you have people in the audience willing to ask questions.
Well, yes,
and you and I are certainly not strangers to willing to ask questions, but I know when we attended Hive-orama back in 23, because it wasn't last year, and I asked a lot of questions there, more than anybody else in the room. And I had somebody come up to us afterwards and was like, "Hey, we appreciate you asking all the questions. We learned a lot. We had some of the same questions, but for whatever reason, I guess people don't feel like asking questions or don't know how. Maybe I don't know. It's always an interesting.
I think people are afraid of looking dumb nowadays. It's a big thing. I don't know.
I don't know. I went to engineering school, dude. You ask questions.
Yeah, you ask a bunch of questions, and there's going to be dumb questions, and that's just part of. Hey, you got some dumb questions out there. Yep, they're you missed something there, and it's going to show that you missed something.
It's been interesting though, because being able to ask questions has really opened opportunities that we otherwise wouldn't get, because there are people in the industry, and I'm sure this is probably across all industries, but focused on beekeeping and people we've run into in beekeeping, and we're like, "Hey man, we'd love to talk to you," and they sort of give you the cold shoulder of, you're just another guy who wants ask how much honey do you make, or some simple boring question. And it's not until you ask a series of in-depth, like only a beekeeper would know type of questions, and then there are sort of whole attitude changes of like, "Oh no, you're a serious, like you have serious real questions," and all of a sudden their attitude changes, like, "Oh no, now I'm willing to talk to you, like now I'm willing to quote unquote be your friend," right? And It's been an interesting experience to see that sort of feedback, and I think you had that at Purdue also.
Yeah, the part of it though too was I just cornered one of the dudes when everyone went outside, and so everyone's standing around a hive, and I've stood around a hive, and they were preparing it for grafting a queen, and so I just cornered one of the guys that was there and just asked him questions, and was nice to him and just talked about stuff with him, and from that really kind of he was pretty guarded a little bit with some of the answers he was giving, and as soon as I was really poking at questions, he stopped and really went into depth, and then started giving information back that I wasn't asking, like questions I hadn't thought to ask. Is when they really start to, once you break that wall down, right, and they're willing to converse with you.
Well, and made a comment about the panel group also, that there were some people there that was like, "Okay, well, here's my spiel. I'm going to go sit in the back." And because all you guys, I've done this class, 100 times, and you guys ask the same 50 questions.
Well, and he's letting somebody else shine too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And after about a half hour, it was an hour-long panel. I would guess that I asked probably 45 minutes of questions during that hour-long panel. And about halfway through, he came back from the back and came back up front, and then was very happy to start answering questions again. Because you get you and I have had it too, right? How many times do you want to answer questions on what's my mic? What should my mic count be?
Sure.
Or, right?
Yeah.
The stuff that, we should know about this already. Or
did you feel like there were some wishy-washy answers, like it sort of depends, or a lot of times we get a lot of it's a common line we hear a lot in our club that our club likes to throw out. Hey, you ask a question. If you ask 10 beekeepers this question, you'll get 11 different answers.
Yeah.
And there's some of that in some of the subjects that, some of the questions that are asked. But a lot of times, especially with some of my students, they'll ask a question that's right on the verge of understanding the complexity of the thing that they're asking about. And then I'm sort of left going, okay, well, do you want the simple answer or do you want the complex answer? Because the simple answer can just be, oh, it's Tuesday. And the complex answer is, it can be Tuesday, but it can also be this other stuff because of this other stuff. Yeah. And I find sometimes getting the complex answers are really what you're poking for, because that's where the real tidbits lie in the answers. Did you feel like you had that there?
Yes. So the other thing that I've done in asking all the questions I have through all the time I've been beekeeping is two questions. One is, how do you do XYZ? How do you approach XYZ? And then after they give me an answer, I ask the why. That's great. That's interesting. Why do you do it like that? Right? And then at that point, when they have to explain what they've done, the reason why they're doing what they're doing is really when you get the response, I think, that helps you learn on what you're going to do going forward. I mean, we do it even with the cutouts, right?
Yeah.
We talk about, like, and I can see you roll your eyes too when you do it. Like, sometimes I ask the same question and you're like, yes, I've told you this already. You're doing this because of this. And you're like, oh, right. Because I don't know construction, and you know construction really well. But I found that, it's applicable everywhere. I always ask, what are you doing? Like, why? Like, what do you do in this situation? And then why? Because sometimes their why, that the answer sucks, right? Like, because I've always done it this way. Yeah. Right? That's a very common answer in Japan. Why are you doing it this way? Because we've always done it this way, and that's not a good answer, right? But
I always like the ones that you ask a question and the person's like, how did you know to ask that question? Yeah. Like you have to know something about this going on that I didn't anticipate you already understanding, and you have picked up on that, and now you've asked a question, and you're like, how did you know to ask that question? And I'm like, well, XYZ and ABC, and they're like, yeah, so, and then they give you more about those two starting points or something, and you're like, yeah, and so that's always a fun conversation too in terms of learning and understanding.
Yeah, so it's, and there's for me in beekeeping, people do things, and they do so many things in so many different ways. I just find it fascinating to hear why the whys, right? Because some of it's just bad habit. Yeah, because it's easy to do this, right? Why choose? So I've got two guys that I'm training this year to be beekeepers at the apiary, and one of them asked me, "Why did you choose that frame? Why choose that frame to pull off of all the frames? Like, you're supposed to start at the edge, right?" I'm like, "Well, the edge they had drawn out, so they didn't like the frame next to the edge, and so they had drawn it out an extra quarter of an inch. So if I pull that frame, I'm decapping the whole frame, and I'm causing issues. So I chose the first frame that was limited amount of bees and that, right? And sometimes the answer is because I'm really tired and it's hot, and I want to see what's in the hive, like the middle of the hive, to see if they're actually have filled this deep with honey, or if I need to give them room, or if they got the cat brood. So some of those answers are because I'm tired, and some of those answers are meaningful.
I guess that's a good question. Is lots of times we teach beginners, hey, pull an outside frame, and then work your way from left to right to left, whichever end you started on.
Yeah.
And my students, although they've been beekeeping now for their second year, they still have an interest in wanting to slowly and methodically look at every frame. And it's 95 degrees out and the sweat is rolling down your face.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't care about your outside 2 frames of honey. I know what they are. At what point should you be transitioning from that sort of basic understanding of this is how I was taught to do it when I was a beginner to let's fast forward this process to what we really, the meat and potatoes of this inspection is, do I have eggs? Can I identify any problems with the brood?
Yeah.
How much space do I have? Yeah. Do I have brood problems, pattern problems? Do I not have eggs?
So to me, the main issue really isn't the main issue is rolling the queen, right? And which means and rolling the queen basically, right? She's on that frame. I pulled the frame up. The frame is too close to the frame next to it. She rolls all the way down that frame face, and you kill her. And then you're queenless, and then you're in trouble. Or not in trouble because she needed to be killed. Whatever. You don't have a queen, right? So that issue, I think that until you can be comfortable understanding, looking down at the top of a frame and go, this frame's going to have space or this frame's not, you don't get to pull. You have to pull that outside frame. So my guys for my first year are pull the outside frame, move your frames over until you get over to the middle of the hive body, and then pull it out. I would say like I wasn't really good at that until probably year 4 or 5.
You think it took that long?
Well, I would say that I probably could have done it in year 3, but I probably killed queens doing it, right? Like, and even now I still pull the outside frame and move everything over. Even if it's like 92 degrees, because I'm going to make mistakes and I get tired.
I probably 9 times out of 10, I probably start on frame 3 or 7, right on the edge, and then I can check 4 to 5, and then I'm done.
I almost always pull frame 10 or 1, whatever you want to call it, and then I pry everything over and then pull, unless I'm in a 9-frame spacer, and then if I'm in a 9-frame spaced, then I'll pull right out the middle.
Yeah.
Because they've got clearance.
Yeah. And it's also interesting. I always try to give, because I'll pull that somewhat center frame and I'll get an idea here, hold this one, I'll pull the next one. And by then I can basically see the center 3 or 4 frames. I'm holding 2 and I can see the 2 edges of what's going on. And I'm like, all right, I can see 90% of what's going on in this hive body.
Yeah.
And trying to communicate that to a student, I found to be more challenging than
it's extremely difficult because they
articulate.
They want to know what you're looking at.
Yeah,
and it's not one thing. Right?
No.
I'm looking at bees move. I'm looking at do I see anything that's outstanding that's really strange? Right. I'm looking at behavior of the bees. Like are they scattered?
I can also identify the differences between capped brood, capped honey, and open cells from a vertical overhead.
Looking down the side.
Yeah, looking down the side.
Yep. And I can usually see the queen. You can usually see her because she stands off the frame slightly more than other bees. So I can usually see her.
I think for me it's more of a bee behavior around her. There's more activity in a localized region.
Yeah,
I have associated with, or on the face, looking vertically down.
Yeah,
I think I've internalized after looking at so many frames. Hey, the activity on this frame looks like, there's something here to look at, and I'll pull that frame out and.
Yeah, it's the number of hives that you really touch and go through. So I'm really happy with the 2 guys that just started. One of them's been working with me for, I would say, a month, and the other one's probably like 2 solid weeks. And the one that's been working 2 solid weeks, we still have gaps in our knowledge base, but when you get to go through like 60 hives.
I was going to say, but your main apiary is 60 to 70 hives. Yeah. So, I mean, any given day that you're working hives, you're probably in what, a third of those?
I'm every single day during the week, I am touching. I actually did the math once, and I kept track of it on a notebook. I still do keep track. I'm usually, the minimum amount of hives I'm in is 10.
Yeah.
And I'm usually in up to probably 100 in a day. The most I've been through is when I went through 100 in a day.
Yeah, but that's not all on your property though. That's when you're out to your other
multiple properties.
Yeah, at the other out yards and properties you're managing.
So I would say that they probably touch minimum they touch is 10. And
like you consider if the average beginner has 2 hives and they check them once a week.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're only beekeeping, let's say you're only in the hives for 8 months of the year. So that's like 32 checks.
Yeah.
32 times you're in your hive a year. And so you're covering in a day what might be 3 years of experience for a beginner.
Or at least practice, right?
To put it in perspective in terms of when you say it just takes time to go through and handle frames and look at stuff, that's the sort of repetitious, what have I seen, how does it go? The insurance company, we cover a lot because we've seen a lot. How is it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What does it go?
Yeah, I don't remember. We know a lot because we've seen a lot?
Yeah, maybe we know a lot because we've seen a lot. Maybe that's what it is.
Something like that.
Yeah. In the news, we had a Facebook reminder pop up on the wife's Facebook page that 11 years ago this week, we did our first cutout together.
Yeah. That was in an empty apartment, and we'd both been beekeeping I hadn't been beekeeping for very long.
No.
You'd been beekeeping for longer.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how you even got the call.
I was in the area, and I think with my work with the club initially or something, I was talking to friends, and my name got out because I was, at the time, I was also like randomly getting swarm calls from all over,
right,
coming directly to me. Yeah. Like, hey, I understand you're a beekeeper. Yeah. He's like, I got a swarm in my yard. I'm like, okay, where are you? Right. And then I think we did better at advertising the club, and then most of the people go to the web now. Those calls directly to me seem to have dropped off, but for whatever reason, when I moved into the area, I showed up on people's radar somehow. I don't quite know how.
Yeah. And I remember going into it, and there was dead bees in the next room in the window, because they'd been in there for a little while. Every window had some level of dead bees. The next room had probably 300 in a pile on the floor, and I was sure that they were in that wall, and you were like, no, they're in this back corner because you had reasons for it. Like XYZ, they're in this back corner. And sure enough, we cut up in there, and we had 3 buckets. We had a tub for honey.
Yep.
A tub for brood, or set up for brood, where we were rubber banding stuff in. And it was not a short job. It was hot. There was no air conditioning. There was no windows that were able to be opened.
I don't think I had. No, we probably had them open. I remember we didn't have a fan. And I remember just after that job, we were like, we need to bring a fan.
Yeah. It was not a pleasant, fun. It was hot, and I remember I got stung a lot. A lot. And that was still when I swelled up when I got stung.
Yep.
So I think I got stung in the hands probably at least 10 times, maybe 15 times.
So for anybody who's
close my hands.
Yeah, for anybody wondering why you get stung in the hand so much is because there's 2 times you've got the combs usually overhead. They're vertical overhead in the wall. And so you can reach up with a vac, and you can vac the side you can see, but you can't see the other side.
Yeah.
And so what happens is you reach up in between the gap of the comb, and you lightly try to grasp, and over time you sort of develop you can feel them on the backside and kind of wiggle your hand around, and then you cut the top of the comb off and you try to catch the comb. Yeah. But when you do that, if there's anybody still left on the backside, you'll squish her, and then she'll sting you.
Yeah. And
then you got to hand that off to your partner down on it. Well, usually 2-man team, so you're going to hand off to your ground guy, and they're going to vac the remaining bees off of that chunk of comb.
Yeah.
And then depending on what it is, it's going to go to the honey bucket, the trash bucket, or it's going to get framed up as brood to put in a hive. But in that handoff is also an opportunity for the ground guy to also get stung, because you're doing the same thing. You're grabbing onto something that's already got bees on it, And it's like some of the honey frames, some of the honey chunks, the comb honey, it's heavy.
It's heavy, and it's not as stable as you think it would be.
No,
so
because
it's kind of dissolving.
Everybody is used to handling frames.
Yeah.
They don't just handle raw comb.
Yeah.
Right? And it's warm.
Yeah.
It's soft.
Yeah.
And it's heavy.
Yeah.
And so you try to squeeze it to like hang on to it. It's just like squeezing warm bread in your hand.
Yeah.
That's like got peanut butter on it or something, right?
Yeah. And then there's always the bee that's underneath your fingers.
Yes.
And then you get stung. And then you can't drop it because you got stung, and you're holding this frame of sometimes.
And by the way, did I mention your face was like a foot away from where this is above you, and it's raining honey down on top of your veil?
Yeah, which everyone thinks honey's sticky.
So in case...
everyone thinks honey's sticky until you get this like nice patina of honey on your ladder.
Yeah,
and it's
slick.
It's slick because the viscosity, because it's thick enough that you no longer get pressure, and you just kind of slip through the honey.
It forms a fluid film between
there you go.
Your foot and the ladder. Even if your ladder's got like the real traction heavy aluminum steps that like you take out your shin on when you slip and you like gouge your shin. Anyway.
Yeah, I would say in thin layers, super sticky. In thick layers, super slick.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was 11 years ago. We're still doing it today. We've got
3 more lined up, actually.
3 more lined up, all at the apartment complex, which we'll be doing after we get back from July 4th.
Yeah.
Are you taking any honey over the July 4th weekend? I'm going to be out of town.
I've got family coming in. So I've got my sister's coming in from Oregon. I have asked her to bring some blackberry honey with her. She's not a beekeeper, but blackberry honey is real good. And my brother's coming up from Texas with his girlfriend, and my niece and nephew are coming up. So
you're going to bring some mesquite honey from Texas?
Maybe. Probably more likely to get, what's the fields they grow down there that's molasses? Anyway, there's a molasses flavored southern honey. I have some mesquite honey upstairs. It doesn't have a real strong flavor to it.
Didn't you say that you had an acquaintance that wanted us to set some hives on some buckwheat?
I do have, and I'm still planning on doing that. So I'm going to pull.
I thought that time frame was rapidly approaching.
End of July, start of August.
Oh, is it that late?
It's super late.
Oh, all right. Well, I get some more time then.
Yeah. And we've got a bunch of queens that I've got to get mated, and I've got some things lined up that we got to get done, and then we got to feed them some vaccine.
Yeah,
and then get them back in the hives.
I'm interested in getting some of those vaccinated queens.
I am too.
We usually have some questions.
We haven't really had that many questions this time of year, surprisingly. There's the standard questions of what should we be doing, right? Like, and that's kind of usually during our droning on section. So, well, I think we should just wrap it all into one. So,
well, you also, I guess we could touch a little bit on your ongoing Master Beekeeper class.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know if we talked. I know we've mentioned it in the past. Since maybe we've mentioned it last time, you have graduated out of the journeyman.
Yep.
And into the master class.
Yep, I'm officially on my way to Master Beekeeping.
Oh, I mean, you were on your way before. It's just now you're step 3 of 3,
right? And
a major portion. Am I phrasing that correctly? A major portion of this class is I'm going to put in air quotes, research project. Quotes.
I would say it is the sink or swim portion of this class. There's 1,000 points out of like 1,500 points or something is the research project.
And you would think, as an average listener, that a research project is something like what you might do for a master's degree or a published paper. That interpretation would not be incorrect. However, with this class, you are only provided 5 weeks? How many weeks?
I think it's a total of 6 weeks if you do everything. It's a 9-week course, in the first 3 weeks are defining your thing. So it's 6 weeks total.
So in 6 weeks, you are to do some sort of research project,
Yep.
which sounds like a impossibly short period of time to do anything significant.
So the other one, there's two options. You can do a research project, or you can look at works or published works and then analyze the published studies on a topic.
So a book report.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was some really great research papers that were just published about some deaths and die-offs that we covered recently.
There is.
That had an opportunity to be have some excellent book reports written on them.
I really wanted to do one on the effects of using the Dallin vaccine and its knock-on effects for how productive the queen would be after that. I got talked out of that one because there was a group that I worked with or that I talked to before, and they
plus I think the effect of that is probably something that needs to be more than just 6 weeks of study.
Yeah, I still plan on putting stuff together for this and having it probably overwintered. Right, you can do an overwinter study and say what's the survival rate of overwintering, and are there viruses being displayed and things like that. That's a longer term study. The other one that I wanted to do was an analysis of queen viability per capped cell with a FLIR camera. So like a quick yes, no, I should pull this queen cell out or not. And
instead, you settled on a different FLIR camera project.
Yeah, the different FLIR camera project actually is in conjunction with FLIR. So one of the people in the project knows the VP of FLIR or VP of marketing for FLIR, and so were given 6 cameras to provide, and then those 6 cameras. I already have a FLIR. We use a FLIR 1 that I use with my cell phone. That we use. Actually, I have 2 of them, but we only use one of them right now. I have the new fancier one that's Bluetooth enabled. And we use it to determine where hives are when we have to do a cutout inside like a house.
Yeah, it really does provide a lot of useful information about where the hive is and the relative size of it that can really help narrow down a lot of exploratory surgery to drywall and ceiling areas that doesn't necessarily have to be done.
Yeah. And so we're using it as can we tell if a hive is queen right based on the external temperature of the hive. And at 3 foot, like a 3 foot, not intervals, but at 3 feet in front and back. So you look at the front at 3 feet, look at the back at 3 feet, compare that with the control.
And so you're taking photos with FLIR of the hives.
Yeah, and then using FLIR software to average the front coverage of that hive to determine average temperature. And we're comparing that to a empty hive that's the same in the same area. And so far, what I've seen is about a 2 to 3 degree. These are wooden hives. 2 to 3 degree difference compared to a hive and a quote unquote empty hive, right? Nothing with a colony. And then if you look at like a polystyrene hive, it's almost shows as dead. So the fun thing that I'm doing is that I'm using ChatGPT to analyze all of the images. So I'm looking at it. I know what they are, and I'm running it all through ChatGPT.
It's interesting your choice of such a thing, mainly because without understanding what I guess your FLIR software would be trusted.
Yeah.
But ChatGPT, most of the LLMs, the large language models, are very confidently lie to you and very confidently make up information to satisfy the response. And so not knowing how to use a tool that I had more confidence in to check the result that it gave you, I'm curious how it would hold up to other known.
So I'm using it specifically as it's more of a play with me. Like, can I teach it to can I add images to it and give it, this is a healthy hive, this is a healthy hive, right? And it's called the B1 or BX1 area, which is the FLIR name for the area that you wanted to analyze. So the BX1, like, this is the BX1 I want you to look at, and I want you to analyze and average that and give me high, low, and is this hive okay? And maybe even where the colony is. And I'm using this is not part of the project at all. This is just me
playing with ChatGPT.
Playing with ChatGPT, because I'm going to have 1,000 images, 1,007 images across different locations. And can I teach it, hey, this is a healthy hive, this is not a healthy hive?
I feel like that while that seems like a large number of images, that typical LMMs are trained on data sets of millions,
absolutely,
and billions of images. So,
but how accurate can I make it? My question really, right? How accurate can I make you? Right, and how accurate can I be in feeding you this image, and then have you look at the thing I want you to look at? So So I asked it. I said, how many images do I have to point to the BX1 before you'll figure out that that's where I want you to look at for these images? And it thought that it responded, and I said, "Are you sure?" Like, it responded between 5 and 10. And I said, "Okay, is that per hive?" So it would be, I have 3 hives I'm doing this on, and there's a group of 6 people, right? So there's 18 images a night being taken. So is that 3 and 5 per hive, or is it 3 and 5 per, in total? And so then it tries to lie. You can tell a little bit when it tries to make stuff up, right? And so it says 3 to 5 total. And I said, well, we've already looked at more than 3 to 5. So is it more than? So it must be. Is a more realistic number between 5 and 10. And so it's really difficult to talk it out of trying to make you happy.
Yeah.
It's super hard to talk it out. And so some of the instructions I've put in are, I need you not, if you don't know the answer to this, I need you to say, I don't know.
Because I thought that was a recent change they made to most of those, the LMMs, is its willingness to please the person asking the questions.
It's very clear that it's willing to do that.
After there were some negative results of people asking it to do to generally considered to be not okay things.
Yeah.
Then we were like, so I think they really turned up the dial on always be happy and positive all the time. And I don't know that that's really helping its outputs be in a, but then again,
what it's really good at is going, hey, here's a spreadsheet with all my numbers. I want you to show a trending. Give me a good graph of
it's
this.
Clippy.
It's super good at that.
Yeah. But, we had Clippy in 2095 or something. So, I mean,
it's way better than it's got more oomph than Clippy.
After 25 years of development, I should hope so. But
I mean, hope so.
The Graph Wizard in Excel was pretty good back in 2000.
It's still pretty good. It's just
95.
This is cleaner. And it does a little bit, it'll do one standard deviation, so I don't have to do all the math for, hey, give me a standard give me what your anticipated results for this would be. If I have this control and the temperature is this, guesstimate what the temperature of hive number 3 is going to be tonight, right? And it does a pretty good job of, this is what it should be. And I think that's interesting. It's usually right now it's within a half of degree Celsius of being correct if I ask it to do that. To say, hey, here's the data from.
But what's your overall spread of the hive temp though?
3 to 4 degrees Celsius.
It varies that much?
It varies from a control, from an empty hive to a active hive, 4 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, but I mean.
Oh, with
the hive from day to day. If the standard measured difference is only a half a degree from day to day. You predicting it's going to be a half a degree tomorrow,
right?
Isn't saying much.
Isn't saying much. You're right. I understand what you're saying. It varies based on the ambient temperature and what's going on.
Yeah.
So recently our ambient temperature has varied about 6 degrees.
Yeah.
Right, and so your hives. So within that 6 degrees, it's accurate within the half degree, which. Now, it does believe that a small hive. I have one that I was a split that was a nuke. That I moved to a box. It constantly thinks that hive is dying or dead. It's a great hive. It's just growing. It's a state of growing.
It's because it turns out the temperature in the hive is probably directly proportional to the amount of population in the hive, and we haven't actually quantified what the population in a given hive is for the temperature it's producing. Because that would take the research to a next level for which you probably don't have time to quantify in a 6-week project. So,
all we're looking at is number of seams of bees in a weekly report. So number of seams of bees that you see. So my big hive that has 3 supers on it is like 42 seams of bees.
Yeah.
And my small hive is 9 or 8, which actually I was worried because I'm like, well, you guys are big enough that you need a second deep added to you. And that's going to skew results sideways too.
We got any questions for this week? I'm trying to think of any members that might have reached out with questions about stuff.
I haven't talked to many members recently.
Students.
Yeah, like I haven't talked to many of them. I've got the high schooler that I'm training actually has his own hive. So it's out in the backyard. It's in a pro nuke. He's working on hammering his wooden hive together. He's super excited about it. He can find the queen in it. He did find the queen in it. He actually wouldn't give it up. I was going through, it was like 92 degrees outside, and I had gone through all these other hives. And
by the way, for everybody listening out there, this is Midwest 92 degrees. This isn't Arizona 92 degrees where it's dry as a popcorn fart. Man, this is like 77% humidity with a heat index of like 108. This is like swampy, nasty.
I was dripping sweat off the bottom of my jeans. Is how hot it was.
Yeah,
and
it's not the hotness. It's the humidity, man. It's the humidity. It's
the
those dew points.
The bulb point is what right.
Yes,
around the world when everyone can't cool themselves and
yes.
So, but he stuck it out, and as I went through other hives, and he found the queen, and he had found the eggs. He just wanted to see his queen again.
Yeah.
So she's a great big kind of tiger stripe looking queen. He's pretty happy.
So droning on, where we talk about what's coming up in the next 2 weeks. I know I'm going to be out of town for 4th of July. I will not be taking honey. I had somebody ask me, hey, if you're going to be out of town on July 4th, how will you take your honey? And I'm like, well, I just won't be doing it exactly on July 4th weekend. Now, will I? And they were like, oh. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. It can sit there for another week.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I'm starting to take honey this week, actually, and I'll be taking honey and putting wet supers back on. I like to take honey and then treat.
Yeah.
It depends on right here in the river valley where we are. There's not my lawn outside's crunchy. It's not been raining. Storms came by today. You're 30 minutes away.
Yep.
Did you get any rain today?
I did, but not enough to register on the rain gauge. It was enough to make the ground. But see, I haven't mowed my yard in like 2 weeks, and so like last night I was walking down to the barn dealing with 2 new baby goats that were just born, and I was surprised at how wet the grass was just from the dew, right? It cools off, and then dew point shoots up to nearly 100%. So I still got pretty long grass and weeds and clover and stuff, and it holds on to a lot of moisture because of that. So
yeah, our yard's pretty starting to turn brown. I'm worried about us being in a dearth.
Yeah.
The loosestrife is blooming. The mint that's outside our back door is blooming. I mostly get flies and wasps on that. But I am worried about if things dry up, right? This time of year, things can dry up, and once they're dried, That's the end of our flow, and then we won't get flow again until
I think it's going to be
August, September.
Yeah, tapering off here pretty quick with this hot and dry. I mean, looking at the forecast coming up, it's supposed to be a little cooler. It's not supposed to be nearly as oppressively hot. I'm sure it'll still be humid, but
yeah.
I'd rather take 86 instead of 90, 95.
Yeah, I would too. So I'll probably pull honey. I've got a lot of deeps that have honey in them. A lot of deeps this year.
We had the same issue.
So I will probably pull honey off of those too. I always worry about the hives going into winter. I like to have 50. We're freaking in July, and I'm talking about winter, but that's kind of the Midwest state of things, right? We have to be looking forward to winter, and
that's why I always like July 4th weekend, is because it gave me enough time afterwards to really put some weight back on. No, I don't strip them bare,
right?
But it does give me the option to pull a lot more deep frames that they've refused to put honey up in my honey super. Weren't you paying attention? I put that up there for a reason.
Did you ever get your flow hive on this year?
I did not.
My flow hive's on. They know it's there. They are walking past it to put honey into my...
I was going to say, I thought you put a super above your flow hive.
I did. And they are walking past to put honey in the super instead.
Now, I showed you a video of a guy who's comparing the flow hive to the knockoff flow hive.
Yeah.
And it was his opinion that you had to wax...
You have to wax.
Either product.
Yeah.
In order for them to really accept it because of all the plastic.
Yeah, but we've got a listener that I know that she has like 2 or 3, and then she didn't wax hers. You have to have a really strong hive in there.
I guess we never waxed ours,
nope.
and I left it in storage underneath the solar panels.
Yep.
And never ran around to put it on, and I'm not missing the opportunity to continue to experiment with it.
Yeah.
Not saying I won't pick it up next year, but
yeah, it's still not my favorite thing. And that hive I don't think has produced any honey.
Medium 9-frame supers is where I'm at.
That's my favorite. It's my medium 9-frame supers. I like the styrofoam supers, but that's because it's me, and I like the styrofoam insulation. And the more I play with the FLIR, the more I like the styrofoam insulation. Yeah. Like, because guess what? Insulation works.
Insulation works, and then to circle back to where we started this episode, right? We know the Pro Nukes don't work because it's a thin plastic shell, and they overheat, and they got no way to move air. And I like my screen bottom boards.
Yep.
And get out there and work your bees. Find you a buddy.
Yep.
Take you some honey this coming up July 4th weekend, and if not,
even if it's just a frame, even if your hive's a little underwhelming, it's okay. You can grab one of those outside frames.
Yep.
They should have honey in those.
What's a deep frame? Deep frame will probably give you about 6 pounds. Yeah. So you're talking 2 quarts.
Yep.
You probably pull 2 quarts off of one deep. So I mean, I don't know how aggressive a honey eater you are as the hobbyist, but if you pulled 2 deep frames, that's 4 quarts of honey. That's like a gallon. That's like 22 pounds? No. Yes?
12 pounds.
12 pounds.
Per gallon. Yeah, 12 pounds-ish.
12 pounds.
Yeah, but if you're looking for gifts for family, there's little 3-ounce skep jars, glass skep jars. They look great, and they make neat little gifts for, here you go. And now it only lasts for a couple pieces of toast, but hey, still pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And it's nothing like your own honey. Nothing tastes better than your own honey.
Absolutely. As a reminder, we've got our
Discord
and a Patreon out there if you want to support he laughs because we don't have any supporters.
Yeah.
But we got to work it in there to the outro.
That's true.
We get plenty of activity from the
Discord,
Mash Beekeeper group on the Discord. But if you'd like to join in there, it's everybody's welcome to jump in, ask some questions, talk shop.
It's a great place to ask questions. There's lots of answers. Like the questions that get answered, there's a ton of responses.
Lots of subjects that we've been having some great conversations about. If you live in a municipality that does not allow beekeeping and you want to go to your city council and in support of changing that, we've We've already blazed that trail already.
Well, I think it's in progress, so we'll have to recheck on that. I think it's moving forward. It's one of those things that was old U.S. Bees were looked as a issue, and then laws were passed, and then now nobody has bees. And
yeah, but anyway. The point is, we've got all kinds of topics. We got people posting pictures of their swarm caps and their frames, and so if you've got interest in there, jump on in. We'd love to have you. Otherwise, stay tuned for next episode when we're back to talk about bees. Thanks, guys.